Now, Deputy Attorney General reveals discharged suspect in murder case of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale will be rearrested. Also, we'll tell you what to expect as Parliament reconvenes sitting today. Ahead in business, Peasant farmers insist buffer stock is yet to make purchase of their produce despite earlier directive by President John Dramani Mahama. And later on the international front, French ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy begins his 5-year sentence for campaign finance conspiracy. We have details of these and many others all in the 60 Minutes package. Do stay tuned in. Hello again. Once again, I am Lily Mohammed. President John Dramani Mahama is beginning a working visit to the Western region today. The president is expected to inspect some ongoing projects and to also undertake a major groundbreaking project in that region. Our presidential affairs correspondent Abdul Hanan Adam joins us live from the Western regional capital of Takoradi for more details. Hanan, thank you for joining us. I know the president is visiting 3 areas. Has the president arrived? And what's the latest?
Well, Lily, currently the president is about arriving at the Western Regional Airport, that is the Takoradi Airport, where he is expected to be welcomed by the Western Regional Minister, Joseph Nelson, and he will proceed to inspect some health projects. And first on that list will be the ongoing Western Regional Hospital at Apinamnim, around the Ahanta West area where the project is ongoing. Then he would return from that area and make his way to Ifia, in the Ifia constituency, where he will be visiting the Ifia Nkwanta Public Health Laboratory that is also ongoing. So he will be inspecting these 2 projects. This also forms part of the government research agenda in the health sector. Remember, during the 2024 campaign, the president promised that regions without regional hospitals will get their fair share of that particular ultra-modern health infrastructure that will serve the needs of the area, including adjoining regions. And we know how the Western region plays a critical role in the GDP of the country. So the chiefs and people of the area demanded for it, and the president is paying a working day to the area to inspect this particular 2 important health infrastructure in the area, Lily. Okay.
Is this health infrastructure part of Agenda 111 or is part of the big push?
Well, these projects are not under the big push, and they are not also part of the Agenda 111 project. These are projects that were started from scratch. Funding, we understand that the president will disclose where it is coming from, but we know that last month, that is in September, the Western Regional Minister also launched a particular fund, a dedicated fund that is going to solicit for some $3 million for the construction of a ICU for the hospital. So that does not fall part of the Agenda 111 project, but it is a Government of Ghana initiative under the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the Western Regional Security Council headed by the Regional Minister. So from the Ifia Nkwanta, the president will also make his way for the construction or the groundbreaking ceremony of a major road infrastructure that would be under the Big Push Infrastructure Initiative, and that is the Sekendita Kradi Cape Coast Dual Carriageway, which has been on the lips of many who have plied that particular route, especially for long-distance travelers, taking into account the number of accidents that we record along that stretch every year. the numbers are staggering, and the Ghana Road Safety Authority has been advocating for that particular stretch to be dualized. And today, the president would break ground for the dual carriageway under the Big Push infrastructure project. The Minister for Roads and Highway is expected to be here. The Minister for Works and Housing is also expected to be here to join the president to help sort for this particular project, Lily.
All right. Hannah, thank you very much. I'm sure in subsequent belts will come to you for further update on this visit by the president to the Western region. Let's head to the courts where the trial of the former chief executive officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ajeni Boateng-Adjei, began with prosecutors for the OSP calling their witnesses to the stand. The former PPA boss is facing 8 counts, comprising 4 counts, each of using public office for profit, contrary to Section 179A of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, and indirectly influencing the procurement process to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of a procurement contract, contrary to Section 92, Clause 2B of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663. Ajei pleaded not guilty to the charges and has been granted bail following the conclusion of the evidence in chief. Lawyers of the accused are scrutinizing the witness by way of cross-examination. Let's head to the courts, and our legal affairs correspondent Mutala Inusa joins me. Mutala, what's the latest on this as we speak?
So, Lily, at 12 o'clock, the case will be recalled again for Ajeni Boateng-Adjei's trial to continue. The witness, who is a senior legal officer from Shraj, is expected to face a further cross-examination from lawyers of the accused persons. Yesterday, when the trial commenced before Justice Marie Lewis Simmons, one of the highlights of his testimony was to the effect that at the conclusion of the investigation report, which was detailed or titled Decision, was tabled. In fact, there was some level of objection raised to the admissibility of that document. What lawyers of the accused person contend was to the effect that they do not see the witness in court as the right person to, as it were, rely on that document, especially so when it was signed by the commissioner, Joseph Whittle. And what they are also saying was that they raised issues with the authenticity of the document, whether that document has been satisfied or not. But the courts, after listening to the argument from the parties, especially also a response from Adelaide Kobri, who is a principal prosecutor with the OSP, the court was of the view that once that witness was part of the team that took part in the investigation, he can rely on that particular document and all of that. So that was adopted in his witness statement was adopted, and the expectation is that he will face further cross-examination this afternoon at 12 o'clock.
All right, Captain, thank you very much. With regards to the Agrada case, do you have latest on that?
Yes, this morning I was telling you about the fact that Patricia Siedua, a.k.a. Nana Agrada, remember, she's currently in lawful custody following her conviction and subsequent sentencing to 15 years in prison. She was expected here at the High Court in relation to another case involving sharing of nude pictures involving a prophet. She and the lawyers have engaged or have approached the Attorney General by way of plea bargaining. The last adjourned date on the 30th of July before Justice Mary Mami Ikwe-Yenzu, the court gave them the procedure, allowed them to go and negotiate so that today, when the parties appear in court, they'll be able to inform the court, update the court on how negotiations have panned out. What is clear is that we have said that Criminal Court 3 currently, Justice Mary Yenzu has been elevated to the Court of Appeal, and the court is waiting for a substantive judge. So currently, that case has been adjourned to November 11, 2025.
All right. Captain, thank you very much. That's Mutala Inusa. He's our legal affairs correspondent. Let's still stay on the corridors of the Judiciary, where Deputy Attorney General Justice Swemsai has clarified the Attorney General's office did not advise for the accused in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein Swale to be discharged. Speaking on State of Affairs last night, Justice Swemsai explained that the now released accused person will be rearrested because the advice from the AG's office was for further investigation to be conducted rather.
We we looked at the advice we gave, and there was nowhere in the advice that we asked that the person should be discharged. The advice was a further investigation. Let me explain this to you. At this stage, the person is entirely in the hands of the police service.
Right.
And so what happens when they make arrests? They forward to us docket, and I was explaining that earlier. We look at the docket, and then we advise that, okay, this person may be of interest or maybe an accused person, but we need this further evidence to be able to confirm that position. Oh, this person is not really someone we should even arrest in the first place, so let him go. These are all options. In this particular case, the advice was never that the person should be discharged. It was for further investigation, and we assume that as the practice, the police also have their own procedures because they use our power to prosecute, and we expect them to do certain things. And that is what I think there was a miscommunication along the way when we are investigating how it came that the person was discharged. The suspect will be rearrested and because the advice from this office was not to discharge the suspect.
Now, legal expert Professor Ofori-Atta says the process to have a former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta extradited from the United States is far more complex than many assume. Speaking to Benis Abubedi-Lanza on News Tonight, Professor Ofori-Atta explained that Mr. Ofori-Atta would first have to face a U.S. court to determine whether the alleged offences are political in nature or violate U.S. laws before any decision on extradition can be made.
Has to be decided in a U.S. court. So apart from the fact that to determine if it's not a political crime, they also have to decide whether this person has not been tried in Ghana already. This is to avoid the double jeopardy process where you cannot be punished twice for the same offense. The court will also have to prove that that offense is both an offense in Ghanaian law and in U.S. law, among other conditions that need to be met. So all these processes will have to be completed. The Ofori-Atta in this case would apply for what we call habeas corpus, to be able to have his body presented in court to deal as part of the process, the legal process that will have to proceed in the court.
Right.
When all that is, then it is up to the U.S. government on the side of political character, other side of the political is to determine if they really want Ofori-Atta to be brought into the country.
Now, private legal practitioner Kwame Jantua has raised concerns over what appears to be a misunderstanding between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General's Department. He also stressed the need for clear communication and collaboration between the two agencies to ensure the smooth progression of ongoing investigations. He spoke earlier on GH Today.
What is the mistrust between the two of them? Have you ever seen, and I've watched, have you ever seen the OSP in the presence of the Attorney General and vice versa? No. Extradition is a process. And that process, at least the first process of extradition, should be done by the Attorney General. I find it very, very difficult that the Attorney General and the OSP would be having this kind of arguments in the general public. Because you see, some of the evidence that you have been able to get hold of is meant for court. It's not meant for public consumption.
Now, anti-graft campaigner Edemson is of the view that the debate about the release of the docket on the former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta to the Attorney General is much ado about nothing. Has already clarified that he needs to finalize and polish the document, releasing it to the AG's office. He spoke on News Tonight.
My understanding, what it is was that the additional information was very substantive to enhancing the cases as well. So in their minds, what we have is sufficient, but this makes it even much better. Let's finish and pull it together because there are other people we are going to have to charge. And I'm aware that by the end of the week that's going to happen. So I think that this is really much ado about nothing. I think that just in the same way that government has said with the oral cases that citizens should slow down, you've got to take your time if you want to do things well. Once the OSP had responded to them saying that we just need to polish up some aspects, we shouldn't be having this debate in the public space.
All right, let's find out what your thoughts are on this on social media as Anama brings you those thoughts. Anama, what are people saying?
Well, Lily, things are getting interesting. Let's move to Facebook. We have Georgie Clue, who says OSP and Attorney General should stop deceiving Ghanaians. We have our next comment. Ghana isn't a serious country. You can't do this in Qatar or Dubai. We also have a OC.
Nana, you have to hold on for me. Let me take a quick break. I'll be back shortly. You're welcome back from that break. We do apologize for the inaudible sound there, but let's go back to social media. Nanama Akwa joins us with your thoughts and comments. Nanama, how are people reacting to this seeming spat between the OSP and the Office of the Attorney General?
Well, let's take it again. I was telling you that this is very interesting. Let's move to Georgie, who says OSP and Attorney General should stop deceiving Ghanaians. Born American says Ghana isn't a serious country. You can't do this in Qatar or Dubai. Ewusi Kwame says over 2 months of waiting for it and you call this timing. Bismarck says he hasn't even prosecuted a single ant. He must be sacked and that institution dissolved. Abraham asks, why are you telling us? Can't the special prosecutor be sacked with immediate effect, or is he higher than the president? Our next comment, Massa, do the needful and stop wasting time. Then Ike says, Massa, no long talk, just do the needful. Ghanaian citizens deserve better. Ohini Boachi says the OSP is shielding the former FM finance minister. It's simple, he thinks. We have Gilbert, repeal OSP Act immediately and without any delay. Honorable Fosu says, what are you waiting for? We also have Kojoke, he can't be trusted. And then Abdul Aziz says, I don't trust the OSP one bit. Well, it's a mix there. People don't trust, people are not sure what's going on. Interesting times ahead, I think. My name is Nanama Akwa. Lily, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Nana, for those thoughts and comments on social media. Now, Chairman of the African Union Advisory Board on Corruption, Edem Senanu, has lauded the move by government to establish specialized courts dedicated to handling cases related to audit infractions, which aims at enhancing accountability and recovering public funds. His comments follows a crunch meeting held yesterday between the Presidency, the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General on the enforcement of audit reports. At the meeting, government assured of its commitment to setting up special courts to deal decisively with findings contained in the Auditor General's report. Mr. Senanu has been speaking to Star News about the latest move by government.
Excellent and fantastic news. Some of you may know for there's some problem talking about specialized court, mainly because as part of my AU hat going around the continent, the other African countries like Kenya, where I was earlier this year, they have 12 specialized courts. They have deadlines of 6 months. It's daily on the cases. They speak about these things. They refer them to audit report or audit recommendation implementation committees that don't seem to do the follow-ups. And then you come back the next year, the figures seem higher. If the situation now is that rather than just refer them to ARICs, where there are issues where clearly there's been culpability or, fraud graft, they will go to the courts, and the courts are sitting daily. Then clearly you're going to have a large number that will be dealt with speedily. That will set a precedent. It will take a while, but after a period of 2 to 3 years where you've had many cases adjudicated, persons found culpable, and the fines and sanctions well laid out, and so that also needs to be defined. Because we don't have the COPO at the moment, we don't have clear guidelines on the sanctions for public officers, etc.
Let's now engage an anti-graft campaigner, Vitus Azim, on this move. Mr. Azim, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, madam.
Okay. The government says it is committed to setting up a specialized court to deal with the findings of the audit report. How significant is this move? And do you think, from an anti-graft standpoint, do you think this will make any real difference?
Yes, I believe this is a welcome introduction, and it will make a difference. Because all these while, we normally have the audit rate. All this while we going to the Parliament, and we don't hear anything about it. People are able to take off with months, partly sometimes because the audit reports delay, but also because no action is taken on those reports. And so if these courts are going to come and ensure speedy trials, then it is a welcome development.
To act on such audit findings. There's the Auditor General himself, there's the GHOne, there's the OSP. How different will this be, and why do we need this at this time when we already have enough courts?
Those institutions you have mentioned, they would always have to end up at the courts. So if the GHOne does its work and there's a need for prosecution to end up there, if Office of Special Prosecutor does the work and there's a need for prosecution, it ends up in the courts. But you and I agree that in most cases, these cases delay in the courts, sometimes 2-3 years. And when there's a change of government, the cases may just be withdrawn. So this initiative will prevent that act from happening. When you start a case, within 6 months or at most 1 year, it shall be concluded. And the person either is exonerated or found guilty and the necessary sanctions applied.
Now, the Auditor General's report every year comes out with all these recommendations. Do we need legal backing for these courts to function efficiently?
No, I don't think that we need legal backing. But maybe for the establishment of the court, you may need an act of Parliament for the court to be established, spelling out its functions. Then the fact that, what sanction will take applied if people unduly delay the proceedings in these courts?
Now, from where you sit, do you think these courts will enable agencies to set up? And are we going to take these audit recommendations serious?
Yes, that's my belief and my hope. it will not only enable the institution to set up, but it will compel individuals to avoid engaging in such inappropriate actions, dipping their hands into public sources illegally. Because nobody wants to go to court. Nobody wants to be jailed. Nobody wants his property to be seized because allegedly he or she has taken money that did not belong to him or her.
Now, given Ghana's history of political influence, how will these specialized courts be able to insulate themselves from political influence, especially when political actors are involved in some of these infractions?
Well, it will be very difficult, but then it will be left to the citizens, especially the media and the civil society organizations, to follow up on these things and insist that the necessary action is taken. If, for example, Fourth Estate conducts an investigation and puts all the facts on the table, it cannot go to court and then not succeed. So I think that we need, as citizens, we need to help the government and the various institutions to ensure that investigations are promptly carried out and the necessary action taken.
All right, Mr. Azim, thank you very much. We do appreciate your time with us. That's the anti-graft campaigner Vitus Azim there. Now, the Minority Caucus in Parliament is calling for urgent government action to improve safety on Ghana's inland waterways to prevent the recurring tragedies on the Volta Lake, the recent one being the tragic incident that happened near Ketekrachi on October 11, claimed 15 lives. The caucus, in a statement, reminded government of a $150 million facility that was secured from the Korean Exim Bank in 2020, which was meant to fund the installation of modern inland water transport equipment and floating pontoons to revamp the Volta Lake transport system. They also say that a feasibility study conducted by a Ghanaian firm has already identified the infrastructure needed to make the Volta Lake a safe and efficient inland waterway, fully integrated into the country's transport network. The minority is therefore demanding that government treats the project as a national priority and ensure that immediate release and use of the funds to protect the lives of the more than 2 million Ghanaians who rely on the lake for their livelihoods. The statement also urged the Ghana Maritime Authority to step up enforcement on the Volta Lake and other inland waterways by strictly registering all vessels and enforcing loading regulations to stop overloading. Now, Parliament is today resuming sittings for the third meeting of the first session of the 9th Parliament. This session, the final for the legislative year, is expected to be a busy one with the presentation of the 2026 budget statement and economic policy by the Minister for Finance, Volta Lake, anticipated in mid-November. Let's head to Parliament, where Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Alassan joins me. Ibrahim, our sitting has not commenced, has it?
No, it hasn't. But I want to take a look at the new look and feel here in Parliament. And so before we went on break, the only black chair, in fact, two of them, are on both sides of the House, i.e. minority side, majority side. And they were occupied by minority leadership, majority leadership. Today, that distinction is no longer there. Every seat in the chamber is a black one. That is to tell you that the Chamber of Parliament has been refurbished. The sitting arrangement has equally been restructured. In fact, the desks have equally been changed or refurbished. So that's what you're looking at. This is the new look of the Chamber of Parliament of Ghana, where every seat occupied by the ordinary members of parliament, so to speak, is black. And the ones occupied by leadership is brown, and as you can see. And so that is the new look of parliament as members of parliament resume for the very final time before the house goes on another break in December. So with that said, I'm sure at the gallery you are equally seeing a number of people seated, traditional leaders, family members, friends. They are from two areas, to be specific. Eastern region, specifically Akwetia, and then also northern region, specifically Tamale Central. They are here to witness the swearing in of two individuals who, after the House went on recess, were elected as members of parliament. One without a very single vote being cast. And here I'm talking about Professor Alidu Seidu, who became a member of parliament by the dint of the fact that he was selected by the NDC as his parliamentary candidate. The NPP decided not to contest for that particular by-election. All the others who attempted contesting failed. And by the dint of that fact, after the EC reopened nominations, nobody filed to contest. And by that fact, he was declared as MP-elect. Today he'll be sworn in. And then the Almighty Akwetia, of course, where lawyer Bernard got elected as the replacement to the late Akwetia MP NS Yao Kumi. And so these are their family members, these are party supporters, these are leadership from their constituency. But let me engage Honorable Frank Afriyie briefly, who has been a friend to the station, find out how this meeting is going to play out. Honorable Member of Parliament for Afaja 2 South, you are live on GHOne TV. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm very much well, okay, thank you.
Well, we see a new look in Parliament today. Are you as surprised as our viewers and myself are?
Well, as MPs, we are not surprised because we know we have a speaker who places human welfare above all other things, particularly in the pursuit of our parliamentary jurisprudence. And so, though we were on recess and were not privy to what was happening in the chamber, but we knew, and very much so, that this is a speaker who puts our welfare first before every other thing.
One other issue is, before you went on break, sitting was commencing at 2 p.m. I remember on GA today, we had a cause to ask you the implications for that. Some of your colleagues were complaining of health implications. But what we gather now for this meeting, sitting will commence at 10 a.m. as it used to be. How welcoming is that development?
Well, I think that we need to fact check it until Mr. Speaker puts the nail rightly on it. We still need to hasten slowly because the idea, the intendment for pushing the time for proceeding to 2 is, as it were, to enable ministers and some other high-ranking government officials attend to their cardinal duties at their various ministry, department and agencies, and so that it doesn't interfere with parliamentary duty. But for today, I think that my reading is that because we have unfortunately lost 2 of our previous colleagues, and so joyously have got 2 members, we cannot keep their family members seated until such a long time before swearing them in. So my reading is that that might probably be the reason why 10 o'clock a.m. has been advertised. And so perhaps after today's proceeding, before we know whether we are shifting back to 10 or we are maintaining the 2 p.m.
Well, what should we expect from you as an individual, your side, as far as this particular third meeting is concerned? We know that the almighty LI, the controversial one, is expected to be repealed. Finance Minister is expected in Parliament. The Chief Justice is expected to be vetted, among many other things. There is a bill that will be laid that is seeking to make members of Parliament to serve on the security councils at the regional and at the district level. Let's stay on that. First of all, have you cited this bill, the National Security Bill? And then do you think this is in the right direction where, as a member of Parliament, you have a seat at the DISEC And at the RESEC, of course, 3 individuals, members of parliament, selected to represent.
Yes, so obviously the workload that you have enumerated clearly calls for commitment from all of us. And for me as an MP, a first-timer for that matter, I've always prepared that, look, no matter the difficulties that we will encounter, I'll give my best. And so at the individual level, I'm prepared, for all this workload on the plate, that we'll be able to do it. It is for country, it is for the people of Ghana, and this is what we have been elected to do. On the specific issues about the National Security Bill and the reforms that are being introduced, as it were, to make members of parliament members at the district, the DISEC and RESEC level, I think that for me, I'm yet to get the full details of it. I mean, clearly something coming from the corridors of national security, we will not be privy to until it is brought to our domain. But I think that the rationale, even though I'm yet to cite it, the rationale is good. Because as members of parliament, we are ex-officio members of the various district and municipal assemblies. And so the reason for our inclusion at that level, I think sits well that we are included in matters that have to do with the security and the livelihood of the people. And so I think that is a good inclusion.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Frank Afriyie. Olivia, I'm sure those of you watching might have seen his DCE specifically suffer very much when he appeared before the local government committee to answer a number of questions. Do you think such a development, which is a novelty, of course, where DCEs, MMDCs are hauled before a committee, is something that is forward-looking? Do you think it's something that's helpful? Because many viewers have been wondering, okay, Public Accounts Committee, the Appointments Committee, this time around we have the local government committee also questioning MMDCs.
I think that is an old thing that has been ongoing, except to say that this time around we have decided to bring it to the very eye of the people. Everything that we do, from the president to the last person, is based on the taxpayer's contribution. And so the taxpayer must be following keenly what we've been mandated to do. And so I am even the secretary to that committee. And indeed, the committee, with the blessings of Right Honourable Speaker, have decided that let's bring proceeding for the very first time in the public eye of the taxpayer, so that the cyclical, rotation of all these infractions, will stop. By showing it to the taxpayer, we are also encouraging them to get involved in what happened at the assembly level, so that together we check the wrongs and then preserve the little we have for the benefit of the people. Right. So I think that is a good inclusion. All
right, thank you very much. So back to you in the studio, Lily, from Parliament. Of course, as you can see, this is a new chamber, it's a new meeting, the last one for the year.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Ibrahim Alhassan. He's our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is urging global unity among people for enhanced peace, cohesion, and a prosperous world. This call was made during a health walk organized by the Ministry and the United Nations in Ghana, with support from all security agencies to kickstart a week-long celebration marking 8 decades since the establishment of the United Nations.
The walk, which commenced at the Accra International Conference Center and traversed some principal streets of the capital city, featured staff members of the ministry and the UN in Ghana, as well as personnel drawn from all security agencies in the country, numbering over 400. The 6.2 kilometers walk lasted for 1 hour and 15 minutes, with participants singing and dancing, and terminated at the same place with an aerobic session. In an address, the Director of Multilateral Relations at the Foreign Ministry, Akosua Otrebedu, called for sustained unity among the people of the world.
Your collective presence and support exemplify the spirit of partnership and unity that has sustained the UN for 80 decades. The theme for this year's commemoration, UN at 80 Ghana and UN Shared Responsibility for a Better Tomorrow, is a powerful reminder that progress is greatest when we act together. Just as the UN has worked tirelessly to promote peace, human rights, and development across the globe, we too must unite in our efforts to build healthier, stronger, and more resilient community, beginning with ourselves.
The resident coordinator of the UN in Ghana, Ziad Kudhari, commended the government and people of Ghana for their participation and assured the UN's commitment to stability across regions through the championing of human rights and shared values.
There are many milestones. If you look around the world, you can say in terms of peace, which is one of the founding reasons why the UN was created, there has been many peace missions, and I would say peacekeeping missions, which Ghana has contributed so much to in terms of police and armed forces. Another thing I can say is that around the world, including in Ghana, the United Nations has worked with health services to promote vaccinations of children, but also to improve the nutrition, the education level, by working with governments and authorities around the world to really look at what do the people need and how can we meet their needs so that they live in dignity, they have a prosperous life.
Also present at the event was...
Up next is the business news.
Ghana, passion for technology.
Now, peasant farmers have reignited calls on the government to help farmers across the country sell their rice. They insist that the buffer stock is yet to make purchases of all their produce, as earlier directed by President John Dramani Mahama. According to them, the buffer stock lacks the necessary funding to purchase all their produce, leaving the farmers in a state of anxiety. The president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Awal Wepia, indicated that the problem has been compounded by the government's ban on the exportation of grains. Now, joining us via Zoom for more is the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Now, you have raised concerns with regards to purchase of your produce by the buffer stock. How dire is the situation for your members?
Yeah, we were very excited when we engaged the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and they indicated to us that government was going to purchase our farm produce, of course, using the buffer stock company. We're very excited about it because we're struggling to find market, particularly for rice. As I speak to you, there's a stockpile of rice in central region, in the northern parts of the country, and we are struggling to find market. And if you consider the cost of production, and if you go around, if you're able to produce all this and you can't find market for it, then it's quite worrying. So we're so excited that the buffer stock was supposed to come and uptake. But as we speak, we are not seeing much of activities of buffer stock on the ground. And then we still have stockpile of particularly rice across the country. As we speak, you go to some parts of North, harvesting is taking place around central regions. Some areas are supposed to start planning to continue the cultivation next month, but they have not been able to sell the rice to enable them get inputs, i.e. in agrochemicals and fertilizers, for us to continue this kind of production. And if this continues, what it means is that the farmers will not be able to sell it on time. Most of the farmers are likely to be giving it at, let the rice go at a giveaway price. And if all that happens, it's going to affect production next year. And our worry is that livelihoods are going to be affected, and it's going to defeat the ministry purpose of letting Ghana become self-sufficient in rice production. So we are calling that the buffer stock company, of course, we understand they have not been resourced enough. So we are hoping that government will resource them enough so that they will undertake their money. Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much. That's Awal Wepia. He's the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Now, Equatorial Coca-Cola Bottling Company, distributors of Coca-Cola, Volta Lake natural mineral water and other premium selections, has relaunched My Smart Coke, a one-stop convenient online platform offering consumers a smarter, simpler and more enjoyable way to order drinks and book event services anytime, anywhere.
A brand of beverages
can now sit in the comforts of their homes to order drinks and book events. The innovation, which was first introduced in 2018, has become a digital marketplace designed to redefine how Ghanaians order beverages and plan events. In partnership with Android 360, My Smart Coke platform allows users to browse exclusive beverage bundles, enjoy promotional discounts, and access free doorstep delivery across major cities in the country. At the relaunch, Corporate Affairs Director of the Equatorial Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Bethel Yeboah, said, My Smart Coke reflects the company's commitment to innovation, consumer convenience, and ensuring that the brand remains part of every celebration, refreshment, and memorable moments.
Digitally, things are changing, and so we thought to be able to be relevant to what the consumer is asking for. So over the period, this is what we have been able to put in place, just to give opportunity for the consumer, to be able to order his or her drinks, for an institution, for any event planner to be able to organize their event seamlessly.
One of the platform's most exciting features is a Smart Events Planner AI, an intelligent digital assistant that helps users plan and manage events seamlessly, from booking DJs, caterers, and decorators to securing venues and logistics.
We have built a very fantastic web application. www.mysmartcoke.com has all the security features, so you are well protected. We are using a 3D payments gateway. So once you go there, you register, your data is protected. You are able to browse through the categories, enjoy your favorite Coca-Cola drinks, Fanta, Coke, Sprite, Spatella, Predator, Voltic natural mineral water, all of them. And once you browse them, you're able to add them to cart, pay, and we will deliver that convenience to you.
With My Smart Coke now operational, consumers can now visit www.mysmartcoke.com to explore the platform, enjoy discounts, and experience a new way to celebrate and connect.
That's it for the business brief. Let's now bring you the latest in sports.
The business brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. I am Monica Bukari. Now, the Black Queens of Ghana are gearing up to face the Lionesses of England in a high-stake international friendly scheduled for 2nd December 2025. Ahead of the game, stakeholders in the women's football in the country have together called on corporate Ghana and the nation to support the Queens and the women's football. Briefing brought together key stakeholders from across the country, all united by a single goal: to push for the growth of women's football and attract more investment into the sport. Speakers at the event emphasized that women's football in Ghana has made remarkable progress, particularly under the leadership of Ghana Football Association President Kurt Edwin Simeon Okraku. Deputy General Secretary for Administration at the GFA, Amabrobe Williams, described the upcoming clash between Ghana and England as a rallying cry, one that proves Ghanaian women deserve to compete on the world's biggest stages.
When the Black Queens step on the pitch, football becomes an equalizer. It opens doors for girls in small towns and big cities alike, giving them access to education, mentorship, and career pathways that they might have never had. Communities are lifted. Homegrown players return as role models, inspiring local investments in pitches, coaching, and Youth Development.
Representing the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Technical Advisor Honorable Betty Crosby-Mensah said the fixture goes beyond football. It symbolizes belief, pride, and Ghana's growing presence in global women's sports.
We should view the women's game as a growth asset, not as an aftermath. This friendly match against the Lioness provides a global stage, but it must also ignite a domestic movement, one that channels investment into women's football, amplifies the stories of our players, and creates sustainable pathways for talent development, media coverage, and fan engagement.
Head of Business Development at the GFA, Janice Odonko, urged both corporate Ghana and private individuals to channel resources into women's football, stressing that investment is key to sustaining the game's momentum.
To our business community, this is your call to action. Across the world, early investors in women's football now dominate the global conversation and enjoy unmatched goodwill. When you invest in women's football, you don't just buy advertising. You buy authenticity. You reach families, schools, and communities that just don't see your logo. They feel your purpose. A bank can lead on financial inclusion. Pharmaceutical company can promote health. A tech company can empower digital access for fans. A beverage company or brand can promote hydration.
Lawyer Na Odofole Norte, a CAF match commissioner, also commended the GFA's deliberate efforts to advance the women's game and called for the continued collaboration to elevate its standard.
The Black Queens, my queens as I call them, Black princesses and Black maidens are now receiving regular international friendlies, tournaments, exposures, thanks to the Federation's strategic outreach, including the upcoming match in Southampton with the Lionesses of England. Our match against the Lionesses in England is historic as well as symbolic. It is a reminder to the world that African women's football has come of age. It is also a call to action for all of us, administrators, private sector, media, fans, to rise to the occasion.
The Black Queens of Ghana will face the Lionesses of England on Tuesday, December 2, 2025 at the St. Mary's Stadium, Southampton, United Kingdom. In England, a match expected to showcase the resilience and talent of Ghana's women's football team. And the Black Queens of Ghana are set to play their Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Egypt ahead of this crucial encounter. Technical advisor to the Sports Minister, Honorable Betty Crosby-Mensah, says they are optimistic that the Black Queens will do well in this qualifiers. The Queens will face Egypt in the first leg of the qualifiers on Thursday before returning home for the second leg in Accra next Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025. Honorable Kofi Idi Adams is committed to motivating the team as they chase qualification for next year's continental tournament. She emphasized that government remains dedicated to improving conditions for the women's national teams, ensuring they are adequately prepared and resourced to deliver results. Honorable Crosby-Mensah further noted that they are optimistic that the Black Queens will do well in these qualifiers.
Ministry working seriously in collaboration with the GFA. We have seen the girls at work, and with the recent past, performance in Morocco, we are absolutely confident with the kind of united fronts they have, the resilient spirit, and of course, many of our players are not dormant. They are already playing in various international league matches, and so we believe that they have the strength, the energy, and with them playing together as a team, we believe strongly that they'll come out victorious. So we have given them all the needed support that a team deserves, and we believe that they are going to win home and
and away. We are very confident about that.
The Black Queens will face off with Egypt in the first leg of the qualifiers on Thursday before next Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025. Away from women's football, let's do men. And Joseph Pencil netted his 10th goal of the season for LA Galaxy in their 2-1 win over Minnesota United. In England, Brandon Thomas-Asante scored in Coventry's 2-0 victory over Blackburn, while Antoine Semenyo provided an assist in Bournemouth's 3-3 thriller against Crystal Palace. Mohammed Kudus played full 90 minutes for Tottenham in their 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa in the Championship. Abdul Fattah Ishahaku assisted in Leicester City's 1-1 draw with Portsmouth. Over in France, Mohamed Salisu and Ali Duseidou both lasted the entire match for Monaco and Rennes respectively, with Gideon Mensah, Osman Ibrahim and Elisha Owusu all featuring for Auxerre. In Switzerland, Jonas Ajete completed 90 minutes of Basel 3-0 win over Wintata, but the spotlight belonged to Lawrence Atizigi, who made 4 big saves, including a penalty stop to secure St. Gallen's 2-1 win and keep them a point behind leaders Fan. And that will be it for sports. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Lily Mohammed.
Thank you very much for the sports updates, Monica. Let's head to the forum. Nicolas Sarkozy has become the first French ex-president to go to jail as he starts a 5-year sentence for conspiring to fund his election campaign with money from late Libyan dictator Muammar al-Gaddafi. Not since World War II, Nazi collaborationist leader Philippe Pétain was jailed for treason in 1945. Has any French ex-leader gone behind bars? Sarkozy, who was president from 2007 to 2012, has appealed against his jail term at La Santé prison, where he will occupy a small cell in the jail's isolation wing. Sarkozy has said he wants no special treatment at La Santé prison, although he has been put in the isolation section for his own safety, as other inmates are infamous drug dealers or have been convicted for terror offences. And that's it for the bulletin. I am Lily Mohammed on behalf of the entire team, led by Nadima Umar Uthman and Awisile Jangi. Say thank you very much for watching. For more news updates, kindly log on to starfm.com.gh. Good afternoon.